The views expressed during this program does not necessarily represent those of really any sane person with a brain. Listening to this program may actually kill brainwaves and make you dumber than you may already be. Listener discretion is advised. Really, because this show sucks to begin with.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Fat Guys. And today is only one Fantasy Fat Guy and a special guest because Powers, people don't realize Powers has had, he was alternate of the 1992 Olympic ski jumping team and is now in Beijing as he will be part of the two-man luge and the hula hoop squad. So he is now going to be really, an Olympic, follow that Olympic dream. But today I have Gino joining me today. Gino, welcome to Fantasy Fat Guys.
What's up, Mr. DePrima?
How are you? How are
good.
you? So we got Porterhouse, we got Gino, we've got Fantasy Fat Guys. You can get us, any of the Apple, anywhere Apple goes, but really Spotify. Just go right on Spotify. Get us off one spot. Nice and easy. Makes it really quick, and it's something I always remember because usually Powers talks about the places where we can download too. So that's not really my goal. A lot to talk about this week, really on the two big sports. So we're going to really be talking about football and baseball. We're going to start with football, though. I mean, Gino and I had the pleasure of watching the Sunday games together last week.
Sure did.
What'd you think of football last week? What was that weekend like?
It was fantastic week. Games were just pretty much unbelievable. Probably in the 40 years or so we're watching football, one of the best weekends I can ever remember. So
I've never seen four games come down to the last play ever before. And they saved the best for last, and that's not to insult Cincinnati's win over Tennessee, which was a really nice game, and it's not to insult what the Rams did with the Bucks because they tried to give it away, but the Rams wouldn't. The Bucks wouldn't take it all the way. Rams tried as hard as they could to hand that game to the Bucks, and then San Francisco and Green Bay was like, what you expect in a 0-degree weather game. Nobody scored, and both Gino and I had Green Bay, and we bet them. And it was kind of fun to watch our 7-point lead get evaporated by a fake punt. And I don't think I've ever seen a punter take longer to get rid of a kick than we saw on Saturday night.
Unbelievable.
It was just one of those things. It was just really crazy. So if we're going to recap that, though, the Chiefs-Bills game, okay? Now, we watched the first half together. I was driving back from Jersey, so I missed I missed the whole third quarter and half of the fourth. And, of course, because, the fan has the rights to it in this market, they had the Nets game on because I'm sure that people were dying to listen to the Brooklyn Nets on a Sunday evening when there's playoff football. So I couldn't even get the game on. So I'm sitting there with my phone giving me updates, like just play-by-play, like no announcing, just announcing, 2-yard gain, stuff like that. But you have to wait forever. And I was like, oh, my God, it was about as gripping as you can get. It really was just great football. In the last 2 minutes, last minute 52, they scored 25 points. The entire Packer 49er game scored 23. Put it in perspective. And if you take away defensive points, they scored 16.
Some of the wildest football you've ever seen in the last 2.5 minutes of that game, let me tell you.
So is Josh Allen a star?
Absolutely.
Is he on that level now? He's right there with Mahomes? He's right there.
Absolutely. I can't think of somebody else right now other than Mahomes that is at that point. You got a couple of aging quarterbacks. You got Rodgers. You got Brady. But at this point, I think those are just the 1-2 quarterbacks in the league right now.
What does Burrow have to do to get up there?
I think he needs some more time. I think he needs some more wins in the NFL. A big win this weekend would probably help that case. I don't think the Bengals are there yet. They're definitely an up and coming team, but I think he's going to need to just get some more wins under his belt. I think if he was in the NFC, you'd probably say, oh, look, there's a great NFC prospect there. But in the AFC, I think he's going to have to do a hell of a lot to get past Allen and Mahomes at this point.
I mean, listen, you go through the AFC and you see guys like Herbert, who's really a stud. I mean, kid's really good, and Lamar Jackson, he's still young. It's like, I mean, the AFC is going to be a gauntlet. The funny thing about the AFC is that even though the Bengals win this division and they look really good and they could win on Sunday, I don't think they will. Same as you, I think that the Chiefs will probably just be a little too much for them this time. But I do think that the Bengals are really good, but they may not even win that division next year. The Ravens can come right back and win it. If Jackson was healthy, the Bengals may not even make the playoffs. I mean, so you put it all in perspective. Kansas City, people wrote them off at 3-4, and then they struggled to get the 500 against a very bad Giants team.
Yeah,
and so they went on a Monday night, 13-10, something like that, really horrible. They looked awful, and they'll never catch the Chargers. Not only did they catch the Chargers didn't even make the playoffs. The Raiders did, and then Derek Carr. I know he's a little bit older, but he still does some decent things. I mean, it's the quarterback play in the league is really good, except for my team. And, it's just one of those things.
And my team.
Well, very true. Gino roots for the football team. Maybe soon to be the Admirals. I don't know. We're a couple of days away from finding out what's up with this. I mean, but he remembers more of the Dexter Manley, Redskins than the current day football team. But Darryl Green, all the greats. But different time.
It's funny you're talking about the quarterbacks, because a couple of times this week I heard different people talk about how this could be the end of Rodgers in Green Bay. And one of the rumored places has been Denver. And if you're Rodgers, I know Denver's got some good defensive players. They got some good offensive players. But do you really want to go to the AFC and have to go through the gauntlet of these other quarterbacks just to get there?
It's scary. You're right.
He's in a division in the NFC that Green Bay probably, as long as he's the quarterback and Devontae Adams is his starting wide receiver, probably owns. And,
Yeah, you don't expect Detroit to really make that huge jump yet. And Minnesota is always going to find a way to lose good road games. And Chicago, listen, they just hired a new coach, and we're going to talk about 3 new coaches that were hired in the last 2 days. They decided a new coach, so we'll see, but they didn't exactly hire an offensive coach to help out with Fields.
Let me ask you this, though, Darren. So the ending of the Kansas City Buffalo game comes down to the wire. We all know what happens. There's 18 seconds left.
13.
I've heard more people argue that they should have did a squib kick to kick off at the end, Buffalo. And instead, you gave Mahomes that time on the clock.
I would have not done either. What would happen? I would not have squibbed it, nor would I have kicked it deep. I would have kicked a high, short kick to about the 15, where they have no – because a squib kick, if you don't kick it in the right spot or you get a bad bounce, could go out of bounds untouched, and they give the ball to Mahomes at the 40. Or an up back gets a hand on it, grabs it, maybe he loses 2 or 3 seconds, falls down, and you're starting at the 35 or 40. So if you kick it high and short and force them to return it or fair catch it. But if you're starting at the 15, 17-yard line, it's not quite the 25. I would have done that. I would have kicked it high and short.
Well, my problem isn't even that. My problem actually stems from the defense that they come out and play with 13 seconds left. And, we see this so often in the NFL. They put 10 guys, deep, and they fail to guard anyone at the line instead of just playing a defense and covering people. And they open the door, and you give Mahomes that door, and he gets in, he throws a pass here and a pass there, and all of a sudden they're kicking a field goal to go overtime.
Inside 50. They're kicking a field goal inside 50 yards. I'm sitting there saying it because I like the Chiefs. I'm a Jet fan, but the Chiefs have been my second team since I was a little kid. And I've always kind of liked them. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm saying the first play was kind of genius to me because they were like, all right, we're just going to throw it to Hill where he can catch it on the run and get as many yards as he can and dive down. Got down there with 7 seconds. They added a second back somehow, whatever. Got to 8. And he picked up 19 yards in 5 seconds. And you're saying, okay, now you still have 2 timeouts, and you're like, well, you got to use the middle of the field. Don't worry about the sideline, but you're going to have to drop back and hope you complete the pass. But instead, the Bills play wide on both sides on Kelsey. And if you watch the things I've seen all week, Kelsey tells Mahomes, because that's not the play. If they do that again, I'm hitting the seam. And you hear Mahomes saying, Kels, go. And they did it, and he gets 25 yards in 5 seconds. And all of a sudden, they're kicking from the 31. It's a 49-yard field goal. And Butker made no doubt about it. He missed an extra point. He struggled on a 37-yard kick, but the 49-yarder had no problem. And I understand the soft D to an extent, but I believe in this. I believe you take your 2 or 3 guys, you take their best players, and you hit them at the line. And you know what? You let DeMarcus Robinson run free, and you let Byron Pringle run free. And you touch Hill, you touch Kelsey. Throw them offline, make Mahomes waste the extra second. They did none of that.
None.
I mean, you don't expect them to score in 13. Let's be honest. Buffalo celebrating. Yeah. Romo saying, oh, anointed the new king. And Allen is a king. I mean, he was perfect in the playoffs, yet he didn't get a chance. So now let's get to that point. Overtime. How many people crying about the overtime rule? What do you think?
I think everybody seems to get burned by this at some point. A lot of different teams have gotten burned. I think the way it's set up right now is probably fair. However, I am not opposed to making sure both teams get to touch the ball. I heard a lot of wacky things come up, and you don't want to change the game with some overtime rule. I mean, so Kansas City goes down, they score. Let's say they kick the extra point, it's 7 points. I don't see the harm in letting the other team have to possess the ball in the playoffs. Now, in the regular season, the way they have it set up, I think works. For what it does, it works.
I agree.
I understand a lot of people having an issue with Allen not getting a chance to at least touch the ball. And this is the same thing that we said years ago when Mahomes didn't get to touch the ball against Brady in the overtime.
Mahomes led them back. Brady got it, scored right away. You blame the Bills defense a little bit, just like you blamed the Chiefs defense that day. What would you think of having a full quarter? 1 quarter. And if the game's still tied at the 1 quarter, you're playing a second quarter.
I think the non-urgency of giving them 15 minutes somehow starts playing into this.
I agree.
And I think that's why the way the current rule is set up, actually, especially in the regular season, I think it actually works. You got the chance. If you kick the field goal, the other team gets a chance, and they can kick a field goal. And then at that point, okay, everybody's had a chance. And I think the way the competition committee fails to act quickly, I think could be an issue. But again, for me, giving the other team a chance to possess the ball, to me, I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
It's funny. I mean, I agree with you on that. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you know what? The defense, originally, the rule used to be first team to score wins, right?
Right.
But that was back when defense was allowed to play defense.
Exactly.
That's back when that's why when I always hear things like, well, this guy's better than Jerry Rice. Really? Jerry Rice got mugged every play, and he's still the best of all time. So, no, let's not go there. Defensive backs were able to grab you, run with you, knock you down a little bit more. Quarterbacks would get hit after the play in the head, and nobody cared. It was a totally different game. So getting that field goal wasn't always easy, and you started from the 20, not the 25, right? If it was a touchback, which was also not that common because kickers didn't kick. Not everybody kicked through the end zone from the 35.
Offenses weren't this prolific as they are now. All the rules weren't skewed towards the offense the way they are now also back then.
Absolutely.
So let's get to this week's game. So you got
absolutely.
You got Cincinnati.
We'll start with Cincinnati. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, start.
So listen, I just don't think it's Cincinnati's time. I think this is a stepping stone game for them. I don't think they're ready. I'll throw a wrinkle into this for you, and that is, the spread came out. It was 7.5. It moved to 7. So now you got Kansas City -7. You're a betting man like myself. What do you?
I loved it. I already bet it. I was afraid it was going to go up. I already bet it as soon as I saw 7.